Relationship advice. Update. I, 59 mil, cut 2 of my kids, 24 female, 28 mil, out of my will for their irresponsible spending of their previous inheritance. How should I fix this situation? Original post. My, now deceased, ex-wife and I have 5 kids together, 21 female, 24 female, 28 male, 30 male, and 35 male. A few years ago, their mother passed away and left each of them a very large inheritance. Over 300,000 British pounds each, evenly distributed among them. Prior to her passing, she made it clear to them that this money was not to be wasted. It was to, 1. Used to pay off debt, 2. Used to further education, 3. Put towards buying a house in future. 2 of my kids, 24 female and 28 male, have completely squandered this money in just a couple of years. My daughter spent it all traveling across the world, carefree, staying in nice hotels and eating fancy dinners. I completely understand going on a vacation, but to blow all of it on travel against her mother's wishes? Bloody shameful. My son is even worse. He has literally spent it all on substances, alcohol, and escorts over this time. None of it, none, going towards self-improvement as their mother wanted. So, I continued to hound them over this time and time again, until, as expected, it's all bloody wasted. Once this happened, I decided to cut them both out of my will, as I don't want my hard-earned money being squandered so my children can live a hedonistic lifestyle for a couple of years. I told this to their siblings in confidence, so that they would be prepared to deal with the fallout when I eventually pass. One of them, not sure who, let it slip to them, and now they've gone off the deep end and proclaimed I'm dead to them and they don't have a dad, etc. I don't want to go into a long bitter feud with my kids, but damned if I'm going to have my life savings wasted by them also. Any advice on how to fix this? Now for the top advice before reading the update. I am a UK lawyer that deals with this specific area of law. You need to see a wills and probate lawyer who can advise you properly on what to do. Someone said that leaving them a small amount can prevent them contesting the will. This isn't true. Your children are automatically entitled to make a claim on your estate under the Inheritance, Provision for Family and Dependents, Act of 1975, if they believe they have not been adequately provided for under your will. Please be clear that this is not contesting the validity of a will, it is disputing the benefit they have, or have not, received from your estate. This is a complex area of law and you need to see a solicitor to get proper advice. As to your children, this is the reason I advise my clients to leave large sums of money in trust for children. If you want to prevent irresponsible spending, it is the only way to have some control over money after you have died. Might have been American attorney. It can help in the US to leave a small amount for family you're cutting out to make it harder to contest the will. If money is the only bond between you and your kids, then they should be dead to you. Inheritance is not an entitlement. He should have told them directly instead of telling their siblings. OP made it worse by his own choice. I assume you would like to leave them an inheritance, you're just afraid to do so because of what they do with it. I don't know anything about the law in the UK, but would it be possible to set up some kind of trust, with the stipulation that it is to be doled out to them in increments instead of the whole thing at once? Of course, they could still waste it on vacations and Ds. But is it also possible to place an age restriction on it, say, they don't get it until they're 40, or 45, or 50? They might be more responsible by then. And besides, if there's one thing I'm discovering as I age, it's that I need a lot more money now than I did when I was in my 20s and 30s. It might also be possible to leave it to them in a trust with one of their more responsible siblings acting as the trust administrator, who must approve every distribution. Not a lawyer but currently in law school in the US. I'm not sure how different trusts are in the UK, but you can set conditions on how the money is used on certain trusts. For OP, a trust requires you finding a trustee who controls the trust. If made correctly, a trust can be fully discretionary to the trustee. They can decide if the money is being used for the purpose it was left for, as well as not distribute money if necessary. Just talk to a probate lawyer, they should be able to create a trust that meets your specific needs. Just to add my 2 cents, if I had to create a trust for ungrateful children, I would also add to the trust that any money can be given to a charity at the discretion of the trustee. Finding someone you trust immensely as a trustee is really hard, but if you have someone like this, they can look after the trust and only give the money if they see the conditions met. Otherwise, I'd love my trustee to teach my kids a lesson well after I am gone. And now for the update. So, I took the advice of the previous thread. which was overwhelmingly to consider setting up a trust for my 2 problem children. Before I even invited the 2 of them over to talk the issue over, my son called me to apologize for how he was acting. He seemed genuinely ashamed of the things he said and admitted that it was wrong of him to waste his mother's savings like that. Anyway, I invited the 2 of them over to tell them my plans. As I say, my son seemed very apologetic, while my daughter was clearly still upset with me. I told them that I would reinstate their inheritance, but since they've demonstrated extremely poor money management that I will only do so through a trust. That I talk with a proper lawyer/financial expert on setting them up, and they'd be designed to provide for them and any future children they have over many years after I'm gone. That them blowing through it in a few years is simply not an option. Son took the news very well, and said he wouldn't trust himself with that money anyway. I'm not sure what caused such a sudden change of heart in my son, but as I say, it seemed genuine. He also offered to go to therapy for his ex/drug addiction if I helped pay, to which I agreed. I'll make sure this therapist actually exists, don't worry. My daughter did not take it well. Christ. Far worse than I expected. Here I am willing to give them a second chance, and she just blows up about how it's not fair that it's only them that don't get the money outright. I explained that their siblings had demonstrated they were responsible with money and hence why I would leave it to them outright. Nope, not good enough for her. She doubled down that spending all of her mother's £300,000+ on travel was justified. Had the gall to again call me several extremely upsetting names and accuse me of being emotionally abusive. So, I told my daughter that as I'm retiring soon, perhaps I should experience the joys of travel also. Perhaps I should spend her inheritance that I've worked for my entire life on travel myself. She stormed out and hasn't contacted me since. Really proud of how my son's taken the news. Extremely disappointed in my daughter. Genuinely considering spending her part of the inheritance on travel myself at this point. Edit, guys, I understand how petulant my daughter is behaving, but please refrain from using profanities. She's still my daughter and I'd rather not read that stuff. You can criticize her behavior without cussing. Edit 2, at the encouragement of some kind people here, I've booked flights to Hong Kong a few weeks from now. Will be using up all my accumulated leave to take a trip across China. I've always wanted to visit the country and I am looking forward to this. Now for some top comments. So, I told my daughter that as I'm retiring soon, perhaps I should experience the joys of travel also. Perhaps I should spend her inheritance that I've worked for my entire life on travel myself. Sounds like a great plan. Actually, do it. The world is a beautiful place. Very tempting. I've never actually been outside Europe before. Oh my goodness. It's important to live your life too, not just put away money for the kids. There are amazing places out there to visit: Canada, New Zealand, Australia, the US, Central/South America. I highly recommend Costa Rica, and so many more depending on what interests you. For what this is worth, I've told my parents many times that it is more important to me that they have a good quality of life and enjoy their retirement and later years, than that they worry about leaving money for me to inherit. Money is just money, their happiness and quality of life is way more important. I'm really hoping they will decide to do some of the travel they've dreamed about and won't be able to enjoy as much once their 60s/70s are over. Why do your kids not seem to be showing any of this line of thinking? You're very right. My ex-wife and I grew up during the time when the UK was the sick man of Europe and all that, so the importance of savings and helping family was always drilled into us. Personally, I've always wanted to visit China. I must have read 100 books on the country's history without so much as setting foot there. I wonder if your son was starting to realize on his own that he had a problem, and hearing about how you wanted to cut him out of the will was just another wake-up call. It made him look back and realize what he really spent that money on, and what he could and should have used it for. To be honest, if it means him getting help and sticking with it, I don't care if it was just an act or a genuine wake-up call. Either will be good for him so long as he sticks with the therapy. Maybe leave her a tiny bit and don't tell her about it so she can just live on thinking she blew it for now. Or divide up her section to the others. She's not entitled to it. Really sucks that she's melting down over it. If she had a tangible, responsible reason why she needed it whole, I'm sure she would say so, but nope, just a tantrum. Yikes. Now for the next story. I, 25 male, received some inheritance, and now family are upset that I'm not treating them to something when I already am. My biological dad was never in my life in a meaningful way. I was raised by my mother and my stepdad. My biological dad would sometimes visit and spend a day or two with me, but he was mostly married to his job and that was his #1 priority. Last time I saw him was when I turned 18. He died 6 months ago and I was the sole recipient of his estate since he didn't have anyone else. There were 2 houses, 2 cars, about $2 million in cash, and another $2 million in various investments. I met a financial advisor and made plans about the investment. I gave one of the cars to my parents. That's a 2015 Mercedes S550. My stepdad always loved luxury cars, so I imagined he would love this. I myself am driving a much cheaper car, my dad's other car, a 2014 Lexus IS 250. My mom and dad met because they both appreciated paintings. My mom is a collector and so was my dad. I gave her his entire collection. That's worth a lot of money. Definitely much more than the Mercedes. I let my sister live in the other house rent-free as long as she pays for the bills and taxes, and I told her that she can live there indefinitely. The rest of the stuff are mine. I feel like I've been fair here. However, my family don't agree. They feel like I haven't been generous enough and they like more. Apparently, my parents expected me to give them my dad's main house. That's the house I myself moved into. My sister expected me to give her one of the cars and transfer ownership of the other house to her, rather than allowing her to live there. I feel bad about the whole thing. I have a good family and we all love each other. I feel like I've shared enough and plan to share more as time goes by, but their expectations are too high at this point and I don't like how this whole thing is going forward. I don't know what to do or how to talk to them about everything. I'd appreciate any help. Now for the top advice. In my language, we have a saying that goes somewhat like this: those who cannot appreciate the smaller things in life are not worthy of the bigger things. You gave your family awesome gifts. Instead of appreciating these gifts, they whine for more. If they cannot appreciate what you have already given them, they certainly do not deserve more. Please do not concede to their demands. Also, your dad left you all this, not them. Sounds like a tough position to be in. Stay strong and good luck. I agree. With their behavior, I'd now be feeling regretful and resentful that I'd given them anything. You can, to some extent, present the lawyer as the bad guy to your family. My lawyer strongly recommends that I wait to make any bigger decisions with the inheritance. I'll talk that over with my lawyer. My lawyer has seen a lot of inheritance cases, and a lot of people spend through their inheritances quickly. He's guiding me to be more careful. My lawyer has shown me that I've already dispersed a high percentage of the assets in 1 year with the paintings and the car, which way too fast. He's recommending that I slow down and stop the big gifts for now. You could even go with appointed. My lawyer told me about a client in a similar situation to mine, but his family kept pestering him for more and more of the estate. They had an inheritance that could have been passed down to the next generation and kept the family secure for a long time, but they squandered it in 5 years. That guy doesn't talk to his family anymore. The money ruined a lot of relationships. Anyway, you can deflect some of the pressure by pointing out that you have a professional advising you and you're following their advice. It is also appropriate to push back and say, "I feel used when you press me for additional gifts." These conversations about what else I should give you are really messing up our relationship. Or, "I'm not going to talk about finances today. Let's just enjoy each other's company." Well, if you insist on talking finances, I'm going to leave. I like this approach. Hard to be angry with you. But you will also get to see their true colors when they try to persuade you otherwise. Like it or not, OP, your life has changed and your relationships have changed. A friend of mine was in a situation similar to yours. He inherited quite a lot of money, although nowhere near $4 million, and he was quite generous to his family. That didn't help. They always wanted more. They whined about how if person X got thing Y, they should get things Y and so on, until he was broke. This was when everyone became really mad. No one believed he was broke and felt he was a cheap bastard. They all cut contact with him in the end. His mother's last words to him were, "You should learn how to appreciate your family. Don't talk to me until you're willing to make this right." He's remarkably chill about it, but please know that you can never please your family by spending money for them. They'll always want more. Now for the last story. My 28 male girlfriend, 28 female, of 4 years just inherited money, and we are having conflict about it. Background: my girlfriend and I have been living together for a little over 4 years. I work a 9-to-5 job and support her while she pursues her art, painting, and helps at home. During the time we've lived together, we've budgeted all income as ours, and we need a budget to split up all the money. Extra money after bills and household stuff and savings gets split 50-50, and any money she makes painting goes back to supplies. I think pursuing her art is worthwhile, but think it's relevant to confirm that it is an expensive activity that doesn't make profit yet. She recently inherited about $15,000 from her grandmother's estate, that she was not expecting. She hadn't realized money had been left for her. It's been a few weeks now since she found out about it, and she does not want to discuss it with me at all. Her stance seems to be that, it's her money and not my business. Am I wrong for being upset by this? My opinion is that, we should treat it as any other income, and budget towards savings and vacation funds and such. And perhaps get a second car, since we share mine. Now for the top advice. I'm not sure how you got roped into such a bad agreement in the first place, but here's how I see it. You were basically supporting her going after her dream of painting. Now that she has received this money, the arrangement needs to be reevaluated. She should be treating it as income with you, but if she won't, then just start splitting the bills 50-50. She has a right to keep her money, but you have a right to revise your monthly budget and enforce a 50-50 contribution of rent, bills, etc. Which should be done. It sounds like she was only fine with the concept of an hour's income when she wasn't contributing a balance towards it. Stand your ground and demand fairness. If she cannot see the compromise, then perhaps she is not ready to be living with another person. She won't be doing you any financial favors. She should not get to have her cake and eat it too. Yep, especially because OP and his girlfriend aren't married. If I had a dime for every slacker girlfriend I have supported during relationships and my wife when I was married, I would have so much more of my own debt paid off. OP's girlfriend's money that she inherited is hers. But so is OP's money from his full-time job. I would remind her of that, even if it seems a bit harsh. Wait, what? You don't have kids and there's no such thing as a stay-at-home girlfriend. That's just being unemployed. Helps at home is literally minimum requirements for some already at home. Her art is her hobby, and until it brings in any cash, she can do it like the rest of us, on our spare time. You're supporting her and now she's being selfish. Stop supporting her. You should not be fine with it. I read this and thought the same thing. Being a stay-at-home girlfriend sounds fabulous to me right now. Unless you want to be her sugar daddy/bank account, she needs to put some money towards expenses. It's her money indeed. It's her grandmother. You can stop sharing yours, but you can't force her to share hers. And that's it for this video guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day everyone.